There's no I in team, but there is one in win. Welcome to the Chaps Chat Cats, a part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name is Jake, and I'm joined for the umpteenth time. I mean, it's over 300 times now that I've been joined by Sambo and Johnny. How are we, chaps?
Pretty good.
Yeah, doing well. I thought you were going to make an eye like a Sheeran joke, but like this, the eye, but it didn't happen. But that's all right.
Now let me just go back and try and do this again. All right, will everyone at home pretend that? Oh, you know what? We'll even play the intro again. I'm gonna just hold with me for 8 seconds. All right. Imagine we haven't started. All right, here we go.
Or you could just.
There's no I in. I fucked it up. Lads. Shit.
Once more. One more time.
Start again. Keep rolling.
One more time. All right, one more time. Let's get this right. There's no I in team, but there are three in Eilish Sheeran. Welcome to the Chaps Chat Cats, a part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name's Jake. I'm joined very organically by Sambo and Johnny. How are we, chaps?
Fantastic.
Ecstatic.
How many? There's one I in ecstatic, and there's one I in fantastic. I am fantastic also, and there's one I in I.
There's three eyes.
On the show tonight. There's three eyes on the show tonight. The AFLW Grand Final recap. That's on the public part of the show. We're going to talk all about North Melbourne and their historic back-to-back undefeated premiership run. We'll talk all about that. We got together and watched that game, chaps, in person. A lovely evening on Saturday, had by all, unless, of course, you're a Brisbane Lions fan. Then we will go on over to Patreon and we will talk about grading Geelong's AFLW season, because we ended the Cats season with our recap of who did we lose to in the last week? Melbourne. That was the last sort of Cats-centric coverage that we really did. We've addressed a few bits and pieces here and there, but it's just a chance for us to talk on the Patreon about Geelong's AFLW season as a whole, how it unfolded. We'll get Sambo's thoughts on the Dan Lowther coaching change, and projecting forward on a few other things. So, if you want that part of the show, go on over. Start a 7-day free trial today. Before we jump in, chaps, of course, it's par for the course that we say a big Hoops Crew Media Network thank you to our glorious sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. You can visit them in person at Shop 12, 11 Leather Street in Breakwater. You can phone them on 035 222 2244 or go online, www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. That stands for Australia, in case you didn't know. And when you shop online, use the voucher code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next in-store purchase. It's a giving time of year, so if you're looking to gift someone a glorious bunch of flowers, do it with Cyril Cook and use the Go Cats voucher code to get 20% off. All right, chaps. Let's jump in. High energy here as we recap the final game. And I was saying this to you, chaps, on the night. That's the last game of professional footy that we're going to watch for the year. We've watched a lot of them. We've previewed a lot of them. We've recapped a lot of them. And this is how it unfolded. If you weren't watching along at home, the Brisbane Lions, the first two scores of the night, a goal to Charlotte Mullins and a rush behind. They would get only 4 more scores the rest of the way as North Melbourne, the juggernaut in the blue and white vertical stripes, took over. It was Eilish Sheeran, mentioned at the top of the show, who goaled after 7 minutes and 54 seconds a big don't argue, I believe it was, and then a snap around the body. It was Bella Eddy who added a second to put North up 12-7 at quarter time. Brisbane, Orla O'Dwyer had a shot that missed after 2 minutes in the second term, and that was responded swiftly via the boots of Kate Shearlaw, Jenna Bruton, and Eilish Sheeran again. Another beauty of a snap. And that put North Melbourne in a not insurmountable, but extremely commanding 30-8 lead at halftime. And they quickly put a nail in the coffin via the boot of Talia Randall early in the third term. Brisbane responded with a goal to Ruby Spark, but that was the last major Brisbane would kick for the game. North, they led 36-14 at three-quarter time. They extended that swiftly in the final term with goals to Jasmine Garner, Jenna Bruton, and Jenna Bruton again. To win this one, chaps, 9-2, 56 to 2-4, 16. The 40-point win came despite generating fewer inside 50s than their opponent. It's the second year that this team has gone unbeaten and won the premiership. They have not lost since the 2023 grand final, and they have really rammed home all that vengeance on the Lions for that 2023 grand final defeat. North Melbourne win it 9-2, 56 to 2-4, 16. Sambo, I'm going to come to you first because you weren't on the pod last week, so I'll let you unfurl your thoughts to lead us off.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of unfolded the way I hoped, but definitely the way that, like, I think it was a justified result. It made sense. I thought 100%. I think North Melbourne deserved it. I think had Brisbane stolen it, it would have been that. It would have been a little bit like, well, what was the point of all of this? everything leading up to that for the year would have felt a little bit, defunct at that point. So I did have a little bit of that anxiety in me that Brisbane might get a bit plucky and come out with a plan and steal it. So it was nice to watch what was ostensibly a neutral game, but like with quite a bit of investment. Like I really was buying into this North Melbourne story and the history that they're making. So it was good to have that little bit of spice to it that I didn't not care one way or the other. I was very much in the North Melbourne camp. And they just basically did what they do. I think they're just so constantly impressive. And I think it's, they're not just, it's almost more impressive that they're not just blowing everybody off the park. We saw them get really tested last week. Came closer to losing than I thought they would come. Not that they did actually, nearly lose it to Melbourne, but it was it was such a competitive game, and so many questions were asked that I do think it further cements North Melbourne as just the complete side at the moment. That it's not only when they're getting the rub of the green, it's not just when the going is good that they can win. They can kind of win under any circumstance at the moment against any comers, with any amount of pressure or any sort of adversity that comes their way. Sheeran was just unbelievable. Like from the first moment, I just found her performance so captivating. Like that was, I think you said it, Jay. You're like, this is old school Dusty Martin vibes. Like this is like single-handedly winning grand finals, essentially. Not to take anything away from the rest of the North Melbourne squad, because so impressive were they that when it came to the medal, you still weren't 100% sure who was getting it. Like we certainly had a feeling of which way it was going, but that's how impressive the team performance was. But Sheeran was just incredible. Like that was one of the best non-Geelong individual performances I've probably watched in football. I thought I just couldn't get over it really. And what a side! What an absolutely incredible football unit that they've got. And it was sort of a joy to watch them at the end of the year. Once the Cats were out of it, and you didn't have to sort of have any animosity. It sort of it slowly became very clear who we were here to watch. Who the main act was of this finals race. So yeah, it was quite a satisfying game of football. I thought it was even enough between the arcs that there was a bit of bite to it, a bit of zest. It had some competitiveness to it, but when it came to the actual scoring and the actual dominance of the game, it didn't really give me any anxiety that Brisbane were at any point going to make a real crack at it. So kind of got everything we wanted. Had the right winner and didn't really have to worry about it, but at the same time, you're able to watch a really good battle in the middle of the ground.
What did you think, Johnny? Like, what stood out to you about like what North Melbourne did? Like, what was the difference? Because they brought up the pressure factor a number of times, that stat, and both teams were excessively high. But what was it? How were North the team that took a game that was in such a cauldron in terms of the pressure and turned it into a 40-point victory? Like, what stood out?
The way they're coached, I reckon, is the biggest reason why they won this game, because they're not just coached by a person who's just doing this as a step up, as we said on the night. It doesn't feel like Darren Crocker is just there to step up into AFL and coaching role. It's not like this is his audition. He's taking this job bloody seriously, and you can see it in the way the players play the game and the way they are united as a group and the way they play the game. They're just all locked in on how he has set up the game plan, how the way he's set up the players in their positions. It feels like every player is in the perfect position for their strengths and their skills. And you can just see it like so many times they've flicked quick handballs out of a really congested area straight to a North player, or done a little tap, and it's only because of the bounce that it hasn't got to the North player. But then there's another North player just there waiting for that odd bounce that's going to go wrong for them to pressure the Lions player. So I think it's the way they're coached, the way it's drilled into them to not just play as individuals, but as a team. And they've got so many absolute superstars in that team that sometimes when you have too many superstars, they get in each other's way. But it didn't feel like it for North. Like their best player, Jasmine Garner, wasn't cited as nearly as much as she normally is. It was up to Sheeran, who stood up when they needed someone to stand up, whereas normally be Garner. And it felt like Garner knew that. She just stood back, did what she needed to do at certain points. And then later in the game, Riddell took over that role of being the breadwinner, getting the ball out of congestion and pumping it forward. And Sheeran sort of stood back. It just feels like they know when to impact, they know when to go hard at the ball, and know when to let the teammates go at the ball. And I think that's just all on the coach of just getting every player on the same level, knowing what their roles are, and knowing what their best skills are, and just delivering a really impressive 2 seasons, back-to-back grand finals. But yeah, like he's an incredibly good coach, and it shows what a coach that's fully invested can do to a team when all the players are invested as well. And it doesn't feel like they're going to lose many players, because why would you want to leave an environment like that?
Yeah, it seems like, given the news that we're already getting about people nominating their preferred clubs, it doesn't seem like North will lose so much as they will gain. And look, you can't sit here, if you're a supporter of, any of the clubs, the successful club. I mean, we can only talk from a Geelong perspective. I can't sit here and bitch and moan about, North are only going to get stronger. They're only going to get, more players. North are essentially the Geelong of the AFLW, the AFLW equivalent of what Geelong and Brisbane have been in the AFL men's comp. They're a successful team, and success in the modern era where players can move at will, particularly in the AFLW where it's short contracts and it's sort of harder to hold people to deals, which makes sense because they're paid a hell of a lot less and they've got other lives and jobs. I mean, look at Ash Riddell. They were joking about her maybe not showing up to teach school on Monday. they're going to go from strength to strength. I think you're right, Johnny. We talked on the preview show. Maybe we just talked on the couch the other night when we were all sitting around watching the final. That I can't remember who it was. Someone on Twitter had said that point that you look at the AFLW clubs have been successful. They're all coached by people who see it as a legitimate art form in and of itself. It's not about being a stepping stone league to go and coach in the men's. It is a legitimate highest form of footy on the women's side of the equation. So, yeah, I think it's no surprise that Brisbane and North, and even Melbourne, I know Nick Stanier, is it Nick or Mick? Mick Stanier? Nick Stanier.
Mick. I think it's Mick.
I always get confused. Okay. We might have to learn it because he might be the new Geelong coach. Even Melbourne, like he coached their 10 seasons. We looked at their record, in the time that Dan Lowther's been at the Cats, and Stanier's Demons went like 48-12 over that span of time. So coaches that have a track record of wanting to work at the level, they do well. Starcevic at Brisbane and Crocker at North. So, yeah, Isla Sheeran was incredible. I was just having a look at her stats. This season, her previous best disposals for the year in a game was 23 against Collingwood back in round 4. She had 28. She'd only kicked 2 goals for the season. She kicked 2 in the grand final. Her previous highest tackle count for the season was 7. She had 11. Her previous highest clearances was 5. And that was in the prelim against Melbourne. She had 8 in this game. So she just went to a totally different type of level. And she was such a tone setter. 18 contested possessions. Previous high this season for her was 11. So we will get to her in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes time to talk about players of the week. But yeah, she was unbelievable. But I don't know, chaps. Like it stood out to me. Like people will bemoan, is it good for the league that North are dominating? I understand it's a complex issue, but to me, I guess I'm looking at North and going, this is the highest level I've seen any AFLW side play at. So to me, it's an amazing proof of concept that when everything is pulling in the right direction and you've got the players there, the skills can be executed and the game plan can be executed at such a high level under super pressure. I don't know. I think it's a good thing for the game because it's going to force other teams to do things to catch up. But what say you about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good for the game.
Absolutely.
I guess it's because it's a team sport, not an individual sport. But you never seem to have this conversation when it's like a solo sport. Like nobody ever questioned that Serena Williams is good for tennis because she's beating everyone. Is Djokovic, is Federer, are these really good players? Is it good for the sport or is it bad for the sport because no one else gets a chance? I don't know why we have these conversations about teams to the degree that we do. I understand there is a conversation around making sure that people aren't getting, just a continual leg up, some kind of continual advantage from some sort of, in some sort of space that makes it unfair for other teams. But if it's just that they're just being coached better, they're training better, they're working harder, they're working smarter, they're planning better, then they deserve the next, they deserve to keep winning it until someone else can do it better. Like that's just, in my opinion, maybe it's a basic bitch take, but that's kind of my feeling is if North can keep winning and they're not cheating in any way, they're not exploiting any systems, then I just don't think it's an argument. In fact, it might be the opposite. It might be good for the league because we might see the next 3 teams that can be as good as they can be and they never win a flag, but they might be better than they otherwise would have been if they didn't have to chase North. Because if no one's setting the bar, then what are you trying to clear? What are you trying to reach for?
Yeah, I think.
And it's sorry. You go, Johnny.
Yeah, North's being so good is good for the game because it goes up. We want to see this team setting records. It's good for the North fans. It's good for us fans of other teams going, is this a game where we're going to beat North? That would be a massive moment. The first team to beat North next year. That would be a massive game for the winning side. So yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, because you're always going to have a team that's going to be better than everyone else. Like, it's just a matter of fact of sports. There's always going to be one team that's going to be pretty much on top and better than everyone else. And as Sam said, if you don't have that team that's better than everyone else, then what's everyone building to get better against? Like, you can get better against teams around you, but that only gets you so far. If you have that big goal of going, we want to beat the big, scary team, this is how we got to get better, this is how we got to play to be able to beat them, it drives the rest of the competition to get better and better to beat that one team. So I think it's only a good thing. And, they deserve all the credit they're getting and all the success they're getting, because it's a lot of hard work in the AFLM to be that successful. It's even harder when you're working another job and having to train and be coached to play that way.
I got to say, a big takeaway from me, and I know this is more broad scale, but was that I loved a lot of things about the AFLW Grand Final, including the fact all the fans on the ground afterwards.
Yeah,
the fans all gathered around for the medal presentation. It's something you still see at, for the most part in Gaelic games like hurling and Gaelic football. And I think it's something that the AFL men's comp has really lost. And, sometimes I actually think, we're always talking about how can we make the AFLW, how can we get them to the same pay scale as the men's and that. And I think we should. This is the world we live in. That's the way everything's flowing. So, of course, that's the way we should. In a perfect world for me, and maybe a controversial take, I'd be looking at how do we get the men back to something that's less fucking money driven? How do we get that men's comp back to something that's more connected to its community, that's less connected to the greed of TV deals, that locks fans out, that doesn't let fans have a kick on the ground anymore? Like, there was something really great about what the AFLW grand final looked like, in terms of that fan participation and the connection to the fan community. And I really do think it's something that the men's comp is losing year by year. Like, I know they can probably point to TV numbers and revenue and all that sort of thing. Look, it's up, 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 up. But to me, it's always looking more like, great, you've made a very successful consumer product. But are those clubs still connected in the same way? Are those players still connected in the same way as a football community to their club? And I just don't think that that's the case. I think that, and I don't know what the answer is. I think the genie's out of the bottle there. I think it's sports the world over. That's the way it's going. And so that's the way the AFLW should go. We should get the women as much fucking money as possibly can be squeezed out of the AFL, and keep that foot on the throat and go, no, more. But in my perfect world, we would be looking at what the AFLW is in terms of the connection that their fans have to the players and the teams, and going, how do we put more of that in the men's comp? Wouldn't it be awesome if on grand final day you had all the supporters out there on the field? I think it'd be great, but it'll never happen. Never happen.
It'd be fantastic. And,
it would be.
I'll be up for a nighttime grand final.
Oh, interesting. I can already see the comments section, John.
Or Twilight.
What the fuck are you? Well,
yeah.
I could, I'm open. I'm open to it.
Yeah.
I like the day grand final, but it was good to get together with you lads, in the evening.
Absolutely. Football.
What about you, Sambo? Are you on board for a night grand final?
It really doesn't make a difference to me, honestly. I generally prefer night games throughout the year. I actually don't like day games as much. So I guess it's always had that kind of like specialness of like the day grand final is the one day game that I generally actually enjoy and associate it being a day game. But I think there's so many arguments for and against. I think it all just comes down to bias and personal preference and those, The people that really care about it are just the people that are afraid of change. And the people that really care about it being nighttime are probably the ones that don't get to watch the grand final because they end up working the days and they're going, oh God, it'd be good if it was at night because I could watch it. So I think at the end of the day, it's all purely personal. And I couldn't give a crap. If Geelong's in it, I'll be watching it.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't tell me that a nighttime grand final, AFLW at Cardinia Park, say if Geelong win the right to host one year in the AFLW, twilight grand final at KP, brilliant.
Oh,
Beautiful
sensational.
setting.
And you could pack it out.
I was going to say, I just got a little note on that. I was discussing with someone about American college football today. This is back to the trajectory of the sport, and people were blaming. So there's a college football coach who has just left his team. They're about to start playoffs, and he's just left his team, who are 7th in the country, to take another job at a bigger school that won't be in the playoffs next year. And so they now don't have him as their coach for the playoffs. And people are getting angry and I agree. But a lot of anger has been directed at players over the fact that college players in America now get paid to play. And they're always like, oh, these payout payments have ruined the game. No. Power hungry, money hungry athletic directors, coaches, and TV broadcasters ruin the sport long before players ask for their share of the pie. If there wasn't such ridiculous profits being made by leagues, players would not be incentivized or validated in asking for a bigger cut. This is why players ask for more salary. This is why, player union groups constantly drive up the value of contracts because there's so much fucking money there. It starts with the leagues. Don't blame the players. The players are asking for a cut of the pie. If you're angry about ticket prices or anything like that, don't blame players, particularly not players like the AFLW when they're asking for pay increases. Look at the leagues, look at the clubs, etc. That's where the profiteering starts. It's not with the players. I just feel like that's important to say because so many people bitch about why should we pay them more money and all this sort of stuff. Women's and men's. You constantly see people saying the men's are overpaid. They're asking for a cut of the pie that was generated by their labour. So
people should just think of
anyway. That's my little.
If they go ask their boss for a pay rise, and their boss replies with, "Why should we give you more money? What are you doing? You're doing nothing. You're this useless piece of shit." You're like, how would you like it if someone told you don't deserve a pay rise just by asking?
Particularly if you're seeing the profit of a business being driven off the back of your labor. Like, put yourself in their shoes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything else from this game, or will we just name our totally unsurprising player of the week?
We can just, may as well just take the wool off the sheep, and with a certain tool that you use to do that job. I'm not sure what it is. I'm trying to set what it is up.
Shears? Shear the sheep?
She is the sheared sheep. Like sheared Brisbane apart in this game.
Play the intro again. We'll go from the top, guys. We've got this thing. Go back to the start. We'll get it right.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Sheeran. And we should say too. Massive congrats to North Melbourne. I know we pivoted into discussions about the league and player payments and all that sort of stuff. But massive congrats to North Melbourne. Thoroughly deserved. Loved it. Loved watching it. Was so glad to see their fans there celebrating. I'm so glad that they've gone undefeated and won 2 AFLW flags the same time that Alistair Clarkson's coached bottom third of the league club in the men's. Makes me very fucking happy. But yes, the player of the week, as unanimously voted by us before it was announced on the broadcast, was Ailish Sheeran, who had 28 touches, 11 tackles, 7 clearances, and kicked 2 goals, and was an absolute fire starter. All right.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's jump into the Patreon show, chaps. We'll end it at half an hour. We got it in. There will be more stuff coming from the chaps. I'm assuming we'll try and cover the trade and free agency and draft period for the AFLW over the next 2 weeks. The trade period commences on Thursday, the 4th of December. So what's that? 3 days away, 2.5 days away, 2 days away. And it concludes on Wednesday, the 10th. And then the draft will be held on Monday, the 15th of December. So we'll cover all that and a bunch of other shit as well as the summer begins. But thanks so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Give yourself a pat on the back. You've made it through another season of footy. And so have we. All right. We'll see you on the other side next Tuesday. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.